Shabbat Shalom. You good? Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to this wonderful celebration of many celebrations of our 75th anniversary of Temple Beth Shalom. How truly awesome it is, how truly grateful we are to be able to celebrate this evening together and to be able to join in not only Shabbat worship together, but also a journey through our liturgy, of the history of the Union for Reform Judaism, used to be UAHC, Union of American Hebrew Congregations. Now, we're not going to cover every aspect of Reform liturgy. Unless you'd like to, then I have brought some sleeping bags with. Anybody game for it? No? Okay. So guess not. But we've got a different flavor. We got some different pieces in here tonight from the readings that hopefully everybody did pick up a daf. So that has all of our readings for the evening. And we're going to have members of our congregation and many past presidents, all of our past presidents of Temple Beth Shalom will be participating. I hopefully got everybody. And also we're going to be doing some learning today. We're going to be being inspired tonight because we are so blessed to have with us the president of the Union for Reform Judaism, Rick Jacobs. Rabbi Rick Jacobs is with us tonight. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, what would the sweetness of Shabbat be? And that celebration of Shabbat and that celebration of Torah without a wonderful celebration of a young man becoming bar mitzvah. Jake, we are so excited to be able to celebrate with you and with your family on this evening, this erev of your becoming bar mitzvah, in which you'll be called to Torah tomorrow to not only read, but also you are our teacher tomorrow, which is such a blessing. So we have a wonderful Shabbat ahead of us. So let us begin with an opening song. Cantor.
Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, dai. Yai, la, 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 la. Yai, la, 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 la. Yai, la, la, la. Yai, la, 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 la. Yai, la, la, la. Yai, la, 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 la. Yai, la, la, la. Yai, la, 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 la. Yai, la, 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 la. One more time. Yeah, la la la. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah,
So 75 years ago, they did not have the following technology. Please take your cell phones, make sure they're in the off or the silent position. I couldn't imagine them saying that 75 years ago. What would be the words of it? Please make sure to, I don't know. Your transistor radios. Exactly. There we go. Yeah, Michelle. No? 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 All right. All right. So what's the consensus? What did you have? Okay. All right. But the other thing that we get to do tonight as well is that we didn't get to do 75 years ago is not only do we get to reach each other within our walls here, but we get to reach one another outside our walls. And so I want to wish all of those who are streaming into our services Shabbat Shalom, especially Suki Jacobs. Shabbat Shalom. We wish you were here with us tonight, but you get to be with us virtually, and you get to kvel over your son. He's awesome, so you know. So we are glad that you're able to stream in with us tonight, Suki. So, and to everybody who is streaming into our services, Shabbat Shalom, we welcome you into our home and our hearts as well. Well, let us begin first by some announcements, some things going. So, okay, good. Phew. No, almost June. You can start doing the announcement song. but I'd like to invite forward Mitch Cohen to bring some greetings and welcome and things that are going on with our congregation and community. Shabbat Shalom, Mitch.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. There's nothing like the pressure of doing announcements in front of so many past presidents and Rabbi Rick Jacobs, who I just thought did a podcast every week, but actually he's the president of the URJ, so who knew? So anyway, as usual, everybody knows how to read, so I don't have to go through all of this. I want to start with Sarah, though, because first and foremost, we have a gift shop. It's always open by appointment, or Tuesdays and Saturdays and Sundays and all those good things. So also, I don't think Alan Osborne is here, but if you have noticed that the message board no longer looks like it was done by a fifth grader, that's due to Alan Osborne. So if he's watching, or if you can tell Alan, great job. What else? What's not in here is the April 28th backyard barbecue. So if you want to put that on your calendar, not now, but later, we're going to have a great event. Melanie's here, or was here. Anyway, okay, I can't. Oh, there you go. So anyway, that's going to be an awesome event, and that I don't need to mention because Shelly's going to talk about that. And our 75 for 75. There are leaves. So if you look right outside, you'll see a beautiful tree with lots of leaves. We have lots of leaves for sale. So if you want to buy a leaf for $75, please do so. We want to fill that tree up. And tomorrow, many of us are going to the March for Our Lives. So if you can meet.
So we will be meeting at Centennial Park. It will be off of Edinger. When you first enter off of Edinger into Centennial Park, to the left is Santa Ana College. It's just a low building. It's not, don't look for something really huge. And we have signs, and I should have brought one out with me, but that say March for Justice. So there'll be a group from different congregations, not only Temple Beth Shalom, but Temple Beth Tikva. I think B'nai Tzedek is going to be there. Shir HaMalot is going to be there with us. So please, if you'd like to join us, we invite you to join us there at 2 p.m. So I'll be down there when we conclude here. I will head down there. And I know that there are other marches that are going on throughout Orange County. So wherever it is that you are marching, if you are not going down to Centennial Park and you would like one of our signs of March for Justice, let me know after services. I have them here in my office. I'm happy to share them with you so you can take them with.
One last thing before I introduce Shelley Friedman, who needs no introduction, is Sylvan corrected me. In the speaker series that the Brotherhood does April 8th at 10 a.m., Rabbi Peter Levy is the regional director of the ADL. It's kind of a big deal. Not as big deal as having Rabbi Rick Jacobs here, but anyway, the speaker series Brotherhood is everyone's welcome, bagels, coffee, the whole 9 yards, but it's something you don't want to miss. And Dr. Kirshen is here as well, and he was a speaker too. That was a great bagels. At least we had great bagels. Anyway, Shelley Friedman.
If I were writing a children's book, I might begin with Once Upon a Time. But this isn't a fairy tale. This is our history. A little over 300 years ago, a small Jewish congregation in Eastern Europe presented a newly completed Torah school to their rabbi. He lifted it to his shoulders, and the congregation joyfully danced into the sanctuary to celebrate their participation in the 613th mitzvah of writing a Torah scroll. Writing on that parchment allowed them to connect to thousands of years of Jewish history and their ancestors who had brought them to this point. Little could they imagine the journey that scroll would take over the next decades. If that scroll could speak, what would it tell us about the celebrations of which it was a part, or the pogroms that it witnessed? What would it say about Nazi roundup of all the remnants that were gathered up in an attempt to blot out any symbol of Jewish life? These scrolls suddenly became museum relics of the vibrant communities and centers of Jewish life around Eastern Europe. This and many other scrolls were rescued by the Memorial Scroll Trust and the Westminster Synagogue in London with the intent to make congregations around the world trustees of this connection to thousands of years of Jewish life. When TBS received their scroll, we reverently placed it in the ark with the other scrolls that symbolize Jewish life. But the damaged scroll, number 675, what a coincidence, could not be used for rituals, could not be read from during services. In 2018, as part of TBS's 75th anniversary, it was decided to heal our damaged scroll, to make it whole so that it could take its place in the religious life of our congregation. What a magnificent gift we were going to give our children and the future of TBS. Think of the beautiful, positive stories our scroll will now relate when TBS celebrates our 100th anniversary. The Czech Scroll Project continues through early November, when we celebrate the return of the healed, ritually perfect scroll. While the majority of our Czech scroll is in Florida, where the scribes of Sofer on site are lovingly restoring their pages, 3 of the pages of the scroll are in our chapel ark, right outside the doors in the living room. These are the pages on which we are writing. Stop by and see the progress. With your help, all the pages will have been mended and the damaged letters will have been rewritten by November. Starting shortly thereafter, our bar mitzvah students will be able to read from the Czech scroll when they are called to Torah, connecting them to their heritage and looking ahead to their future as young Jewish men and women. This scroll will be again part of the religious life of a Jewish congregation. You have the opportunity to connect to the hundreds of years of Jewish history and to help protect our Jewish future. We hope that every member of TBS, their Jewish friends and neighbors, will take this chance to touch and connect these pages of Jewish history. There are many writing slots still open during our May and August events. You can go online and sign up for the time that works best for you, your family, your Havarah, or a group of good friends. I even have my laptop here tonight, so you can sign up through that. In addition, there are many opportunities to heal our scroll by connecting with a financial contribution to a special letter, word, verse, or parashah that has meaning to you or your family. Your gift can be made in memory of a loved one who helped instill within you the love of Torah, or to honor those who continue to inspire you on your Jewish journey. You can speak to Rabbi Cohn, our new executive director, Ruth Irving, back there, or me about how you can connect to our check scroll. Help us make this congregational 75th anniversary gift to TBS one that each of us will remember every time one of our children or an adult b'nai mitzvah steps to this bima. Thank you. I look forward to speaking to you after services.
Thank you. Light is what we find within the Torah itself and also within the hearts and the souls within each individual and every person. So it is my honor for us to begin in our daf. We're going to be going between our daf and our prayer book, but we're going to begin with our daf tefillah for reading before lighting of our candles. On behalf of Beverly Singer, Sharon Rosen. Sandy, sorry. Oh,
It's okay.
I have it right here too. I've written that. I know.
That's all right.
Sandy Rosen on reading number 1. Thank you, Sandy.
Come, let us welcome the Sabbath. May its radiance illumine our hearts as we kindle these tapers. Light is the symbol of the divine. The Lord is my light and salvation. Light is the symbol of the divine man. The spirit of man is the light. The spirit of man is the light of the Lord. Light is the symbol of the divine law. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light. Light is the symbol of Israel's mission. I, the Lord, have set thee for a covenant of the people, for a light unto the nations. Therefore, in the spirit of our ancient tradition that hallows and unites Israel in all lands and all ages, do we now kindle our Sabbath lights.
Thank you, Sandy, for that reading that came from our Union Prayer Book, copyright of 1940. But it is my honor to call forward today and our future as well. So Jake, if you will come up with your brother Michael and with your parents Nancy and Stan, as we turn to page 2 in our prayer books for the lighting of our Shabbat candles. So, go ahead. Just got my hand. Don't do it. No. Keep down. There you go. Perfect. Okay, there you go. So we'll join together with the cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And in the words that were in the Union Prayer Book, actually, Michael, I'm going to give this to you here, my friend. English, don't worry, it's all good. Right here.
Blessed art thou, O Lord, our God, King of the universe, who hast sanctified us by thy laws and commanded us to kindle the Sabbath light.
May the Lord bless us with Sabbath joy. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath holiness. May the Lord bless us with Sabbath peace. Amen. And of course, with the sweetness of Shabbat as well, all of that wonderful fruit of the vine that God reminds us to always sanctify special moments like this, and especially this wonderful moment of you, Jake, becoming bar mitzvah. We turn to page 5 in our prayer books as Jake leads us in our kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'rata v'anu v'shabbat kodsho be'avhava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh Bereshit. Kihu Yom Tehillah, Lemikra Kodesh, Zeher Litziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu Vaharta, Ve'atanu Kidashta, Mikol Hamim, Ve'ashabat Kodsheha, Ve'ahava Uvratzon, Hin Hautanu.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim, Mazel Tov. We really look forward to that. Such wonderful energy for tomorrow. Mazel Tov, Jake. Michael, Mazel Tov. Nancy, Stan, Mazel Tov as well. Bringing your son to Torah. We are truly grateful. It's such a gift. Mazel Tov. We continue, Hine Matov Umanayim, page 10.
Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
So tonight's service is going to include a handful of composers that are not composers we use on a regular basis as we walk through this history of our liturgy and this history of our music. And in so many ways, music and liturgy are directly tied to one another. The first is a Lechadodi written by Cantor Adolf Kochko, and I want to share a short bio about him and a few of the other composers coming up that are ones you may not be as familiar with. Cantor Kochko was a Polish cantor who bridged the gap between the great cantorial golden years of the cantorial Chazanut traditions in the Old World and then brought his knowledge here to the US when he emigrated here in 1921. At that time, just a little bit after that, he became a professor at the Hebrew Union College School of Sacred Music, where I am an alumnus. And there he notated nusach, prayer chants, that are still a very important part of the cantorial curriculum today as cantors study about the traditional way to chant these chants, and this is the first book of that collection. This Lechadodi melody sings like a waltz, and so you'll hear the chorus repeat over and over again. If you get a hang of it, come and sing the waltz with us. And we will be also, you'll also be hearing chants for verses 1 and 9. So follow along with us on page 20 in your prayer book. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem multiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise as we face the door, welcoming Shabbat to come in and join us with verse 9.
Boi v'shalom בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלם. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
As we turn back to our daf tefillah, reading number 2, it's my honor to invite Sylvan Swartz.
Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us raise our voice in joy to the rock of our salvation.
Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord all the earth.
Sing unto the Lord, bless his name, proclaim his salvation from day to day.
Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary.
Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Tremble before him, all the earth.
The Lord reigneth. The world is established that it cannot be moved.
Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice. Let the field exult and all that is therein.
He will judge the world with righteousness and the peoples in his faithfulness.
O ye that love the Lord, hate evil. He preserveth the souls of his servants.
Light is sown for the righteous, and gladness for the upright in heart.
Be glad in the Lord, ye righteous, and give thanks to his holy name.
He hath remembered his mercy and his faithfulness toward the house of Israel.
All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God.
The Lord our God is holy. As we continue now, Chatzi Kaddish in our prayer books, page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
יעלמד יברח ירחותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחייתכו בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ימרו.
Amen. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מהמיה. יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויבהר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה.
ברכו.
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה.
תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעמה. Amen. Please rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, page 28.
And this Baruch Hu was written by the great composer Max Helfman, who was Polish-born and also a conductor and teacher. He arrived in the U.S. at age 8 in 1909. He was mainly a self-taught composer with little formal education, spending the majority of his career as a music director in numerous East Coast synagogues, and his setting of Shema Kolenu, which you all hear during the high holidays, is his most famous composition. He spent the later years of his life on this coast, both teaching and continuing to write music. Baruch et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach leolam vaed.
Please be seated. As we now journey from the Union Prayer Book to then the Gates of Prayer, some would call the Gates of Blue. It is my honor to invite for Our reading number 3, Ever Living God, Cindy Grossberg.
Ever living God, thy majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify of thy power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but thy sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not thy glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with thee, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth.
All goodness and truth are thine, O Lord. May no evil estrange us from thee, nor error darken our vision of thy purposes. Help us to discern thy justice and to understand thy will. In adversity and in prosperity, let thy law be a lamp unto our feet to illumine our path. May we so labor in thy service that our lives become a hymn of praise unto thee. As we continue now on page 32, Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבתם. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדתם. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, שוכבנו ומקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. אהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. 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 ברוך שם כבוד, שם כבוד מלכותו, לעולם ועד. ברוך שם כבוד, שם כבוד מלכותו, לעולם ועד. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
We continue in our daf on reading number 4, Arvei Ahavta, translated into a new way with new inspiration. You shall love the Lord your God with all your mind, with all your strength, with all your being. The God of the stars and planets is with us. Set these words which I command you this day upon your hearts. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I, the Lord, am your God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God.
Bonia Shur, the Latvian composer who barely escaped the Holocaust, was born in 1923. He served in the Russian army before moving to Israel in 1949. He eventually came to the U.S. in 1960, where he became a beloved professor on the HUC Cincinnati campus from 1974 until 2003. His brilliant, eclectic style, which is infused in every single piece that he ever wrote, is a reflection of his life's journey, and this is his Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha Bailim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot Osefele, Malchutecha Rauvanecha Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe, Zeli, 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 Hanu ve'ameru, Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed.
We continue in our Daf Tefillah on reading number 5, led by Shelley Friedman.
The shadows fall, but end of day fills the eye with brightness. The infinite heavens glow, and all creation sings its hymn of glory. With hope, therefore, we pray for light within. O God, reveal yourself. Hide no more. Let your face shine on all who seek you.
Eternal and infinite God, banish our darkness. Be present to us as the sudden light that lifts the heart and brings us joy.
Then shall we be at peace, O God, whose peaceful shelter we seek through all the days and nights of our lives.
Amen. Thank you. As we continue, for we are all the guardians for Shabbat, today and always. It is truly a gift that we embrace. As we continue on page 44, Vishamru.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריבונם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת,
השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם אותי
לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים
ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש,
שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. So in 1994, we moved from the gates of blue to the gates of gray, also known as the gates of prayer, but a little bit of a switch there because we decided that rather than saying that God is He or is Lord or is any type of gender, to go ahead and to put God in the neutral gender zone. I think I would ask a question of like, okay, if what would God's pronoun be? Probably they. And so being able to transform then from the gates of blue to then the gates of gray and bringing in more modern language, also removing the thys, these, and thous, which many of B'nai Mitzvah students said, thank you. We turn to reading number 6 with thank you, we're right past it there, with Jeff Winston.
Eternal God, establish this sanctuary dedicated to your holy name, so that the worship offered within its walls may be worthy of your greatness and your love. May every heart which seeks your presence here find it, as did our people in the temple on Zion, that this house may be a house of prayer for all peoples.
God, our Creator, hear our prayer and bless us.
Have compassion upon all the house of Israel. Preserve us from the sickness, from war, from strife. Keep us from hatred and uncharitableness towards our neighbors, and grant that, dwelling in safety and walking in uprightness, we may enjoy the fruit of our labors in peace.
God, our teacher, hear our prayer and bless us.
Be with all who spend themselves for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, who give bread to the hungry, clothe the naked, and provide shelter for the homeless. Establish, O God, the work of their hands, and grant them an abundant harvest of the good seed they are sowing.
God, our Redeemer, hear our prayer and bless us.
Bless our children, O God, and help us so to fashion their souls by precept and example, that they may ever love the good and turn from evil, revere your teaching, and bring honor to their people. May they guard for future ages the truths revealed to our ancestors.
God, our friend, hear our prayer and bless us. As we prepare ourselves for our Amidah, Len Goodman, will you please come and join me at the Ark as we lead our congregation in our Amidah. And so we'll turn in our prayer books right now to page 46. Thank you very much. There we go, come on up. Please rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Koneh Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Ve'Zerat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav LeHoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ve'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato Elishei Afar, Mi Chamocha Bal Gevurot, U'Mido Melach, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Neheman atah l'Hachayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim b'chol yom Yehalelucha Selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Now it's the dancer. Okay, say, Len, hang on, we got one more job to do. I need them to be seated. So hand up like this. There you go. There you go. Isn't that, I know, it does. It's amazing. There you go, my friend. Thank you. It's amazing, this wonderful power of the up and the down. So we continue now then with our readings. Reading number 7, it is my honor to invite Karen Warren. Thank you.
Some perished by fire, some by water. Some crossed the sea or watered the desert. Some starved all week to make a Shabbat feast. Some were left childless until old age. Some lifted their chins beneath a father's knife. Those who came before us gave everything so that we, generations later, could glorify you. And despite the dangers, with your protection, some did survive and even flourished. Some reaped in joy, were spared the knife, were granted children. We are their inheritors, O God, and we know how rare is your good fortune, our good fortune, to be born to such hard-won treasures. A responsibility is ours, and yours as well, for if you do not sustain us, as you did Abraham and Sarah, Rebekah and Isaac, Jacob and Rachel and Leah, who will sing your praises? Who will lift their chins as we do now to sanctify your name?
And continuing in this Mishkan Tefillah, actually we're going to go to your right there. And continuing in this Mishkan Tefillah, our most recent of our prayer books of the Reform movement, I invite Linda Weisberg with reading number 8.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise.
Our liturgy also continues to be transformative in creative readings as well. It is my honor to invite Bernie Horowitz to read for us a poem by E.E. Cummings, reading number 9.
I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the Son's birthday. This is the birthday of life and love and wings, and of the gay, great happening, inimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any, lifted from the know of all nothing, human merely being doubt unimaginable, you. Now the ears of my ears awaken, now the eyes of my eyes are opened.
Thank you. And as we move on this wonderful journey of peace, Michelle Sugarman will lead us in reading number 10.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. So we continue with these words of peace, of Shalom Rav. It was through the camp movements with composers like Debbie Friedman and like Jeff Klepper, who gave us a foundation of bringing new music, bringing modern music to our congregations. It was our teens who said, we want to have something that we can relate to. And those teens who brought forth that music, you sit in this sanctuary, you sit in this sanctuary tonight. And so we sing out these words, but we always know too that music is transformative. Music is constantly changing. And so it's what brings us together though as well. Being able sometimes to put our arms around each other when we sing a song, harmonizing with the friends that are sitting next to us, listening and taking it in and breathing it in. That's peace. That's shalom. That's wholeness. That's completeness. Page 60, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasih Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasih Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasih Le'olam. Shalom Rav Shalom
Shalom
Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
And it is in these moments of prayers for peace and wholeness and completeness that we turn to page 253, taking moments now for Misha Berach, a prayer for healing, for those who are in need of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit. I invite you to think about those within your family, within your community, within your congregation, within the world, who are in need of healing. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah. Hu yivarech et hacholim. I invite you as I face in your direction to please share names of those, anyone who is in need of healing. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be renewed and revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say,
Amen. Source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
we take a few moments now for silent meditation.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai. Hiu liratson imrei fi, ve'gion libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri ve'goali. Son imrei fi, ve'gion libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri ve'goali.
Thank you, Cantor Reinwald, for taking us through this wonderful journey of our music and being able to wrap it all the way around to your own composition as well. And how amazing it is to see music continuing to change and to grow. We are Reformed Jews. And as I always say, what does it mean to be a Reformed Jew? Well, it means that we are constantly growing and changing and exploring, but we find our foundation in our text, and then we study it, and then we ask why, and then we experience it, and then we are able to make choices. It is not easy being a Reformed Jew. In fact, I would even argue that it's more difficult to be a Reformed Jew, because you have to start with the foundation of the text, and then from there experience it, and then make personal choices. We are not Reformed Jews just because we think it's easier. We are Reformed Jews because we believe in the wonderful evolution of being able to say what brought us from there during temple times in Jerusalem and guided us through Talmudic times, Kafar, Baram, Alexandria, to Poland, to Eastern Europe, and here to the shores of America. We are Reformed Jews. We're not Reformed Jews. We're not done. We are far from done. And if there is ever somebody who definitely exemplifies that and who is a great teacher of that and an inspiration of that, it is Rabbi Rick Jacobs, our president of our Union for Reform Judaism. Now, Rabbi Jacobs, as some of you have heard, grew up here at Temple Beth Sholom. And I have promised not to put the pictures of him up on the wall, although I might be convinced for a good donation. And then he can counter. We'll talk later. But Rabbi Jacobs has been on this amazing journey himself. From within these walls of being a student, and I've heard some interesting stories of his being a student, stories that he himself has shared. But you know what's really wonderful and exciting is that those of us who became rabbis, we all have those stories. We were all those kids, I promise you. But look where we go, look what we've become, look what we're all capable of doing. Rabbi Jacobs, being the president of the Union for Reform Judaism, 900 congregations that have nearly 1.5 million Jews. How incredible. 1.5 million people associated with our congregations in the Reform movement. And we have been a movement for over 150, or nearly 150 years. And in fact, next year, we just had our CCAR convention of all of our rabbis gathering together. Next year, we're going to be celebrating Isaac Mayer Weiss, his 200th birthday next year, the man who began this wonderful movement for us here in America. Rabbi Jacobs is a believer in strengthening our congregations through learning, through tikkun olam, social justice, and of course through audacious hospitality. That wonderful opportunity to be able to reach out and say, hello, how are you, who are you, you count and you matter. So Rabbi Jacobs, thank you for reminding us that we matter. Thank you for teaching us that we count. Thank you for inspiring us to be counted. And so I invite you now to please come and share and continue to inspire us today and always. Rabbi Rick Jacobs, welcome home to Temple Beth Shalom. So, thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
First, I need a favor. Will you do me a favor? I don't know if you saw the weather in New York. We had about 1.5 feet of snow on Thursday, and I've missed every major snowstorm. So if you speak to my mother, or if you speak to, oh, Mom, are you watching? She's safe, but if you speak to my wife, Susan, tell her the weather out here has been horrible. Just been freezing, and it rained, and it's just been difficult because it is so good to be home. It is so good. I couldn't remember for all those years why my parents moved from New York to California. I remembered all week long how amazing it is, but it's not just the weather. There's something about this community. We are coming up on a holiday a week from tonight. Does everybody know what's coming up a week from tonight? You're not going to be just making your way through a beautiful, inspired service. You're going to be making your way through your own Passover Seders. And I'd just like to reflect on a few of the frameworks from Seder to give a framework of where we are in the Reform movement, where we're going. I have done a study, and I think that the most overlooked and under-recited part of our Haggadah is called the Hallel. Comes after dinner. Does anybody ever stop the Seder at dinner? I want to start with Hallel. Hallel is the section of the Haggadah where we offer thanks and praise. I want to offer thanks and praise to Temple Beth Shalom because I received here the gift of love and acceptance and the gift of Jewish connection and commitment. Now, when I was a bar mitzvah, I stood on a box. I was one of the shortest kids in my class, and I couldn't see over the lectern. But God has sometimes a plan for all of us. By the time I was confirmed at Temple Beth Shalom, I was so tall that Rabbi Bob Bergman, he stood on the box to bless me. And as I shared before, I was one of those kids, we stuck around. There was a group of us that found this place to be home. We didn't find necessarily all of the things that our teachers wanted us to find. And I particularly think of Professor Joseph Kalir. Does anybody remember Professor Kalir? This man was so brilliant. He had a PhD from the Hochschule, the Advanced Institute for Jewish Studies in Germany. He probably knew more than 1,000 rabbis combined, but he had to teach us bar mitzvah. So I just want to say to my beloved friends and the remarkable rabbi and cantor of this congregation, don't ever give up on any of those students. Jake, I know you're not that student. Got a feeling from that kiddish that you're going to be all over it tomorrow. But every so often there's a Rick Jacobs or a Brad Horowitz that comes along. And what's great is our rabbis loved us into ourselves and into this incredible community. I remember I came back from Camp Swig. Anybody send your kids or grandkids to Camp Swig? Right now we have Camp Newman, but I came back from Camp Swig and Rabbi Bergman said, "How was it?" I said, "Well, it was great. It was amazing. Prayer was so inspiring. But I have to say, it's really hard to come home because prayer just isn't as alive. And Rabbi Bergman, to his credit, you know what he said? He said, take it over. This coming Friday night, make it whatever you want it to be. I thought, really, anything we want it to be? He said anything. I don't know if you remember, there used to be a choir loft up there. Beverly Singer, you remember that choir loft, because I'm sure you're up there making beautiful music. Well, my colleagues in crime, Norman Kachuk, Jordan Breslow, and Danny LeBlanc and I rewrote all the music of the service. We put strobe lights on the bema. We had black lights all around, and it was loud, and it was raucous. And by the end of the service, there were only 2 people left. My mom and my dad. That was such a gift from Rabbi Bergman and this congregation. It was a gift to say, yes, Judaism evolves, and it's going to evolve in our day as well, and go ahead and take it and reshape it and make it yours. And I know, Rabbi Heidi and Ken or David, you give that gift to all of our young people. You're not asking them to be in the mold of what was, but to be in the mold of who they are and what could be. And so, Hallel, Hodu Ladonai Kitov, thank you. Thank you, Temple Beth Sholom, for being a place for 75 years, not only of Jewish commitment, but also letting the next generation take and mold and reshape and sometimes go over the line so that we could keep Judaism alive and well. There's a beautiful Aramaic passage that we'll all stumble over in the beginning of the Haggadah, which says, Halachma Anya. This is the bread of our affliction. Let all who are hungry come and eat. It's actually a quotation from Rav Huna from the Babylonian Talmud. Every time he ate, he would invite others to join with him. It was the spirit of the open tent, of the openness of welcome. And that's built into not only our Haggadah, it's built into our Judaism, but it's not always the Judaism we experience. It was a little while back that I was in New York on my way down to Lower Manhattan for a meeting, and I was late. I know people in Orange County, you're never late. You're relaxed, the weather's beautiful, everybody's happy. In New York, everybody's a little kind of overcharged, and we were all making our way down. The subways weren't working, the buses weren't moving, and I was just walking on the sidewalk, and I looked to my right, there's an African-American man. I looked to my left, there's a Latina woman, and they're in a hurry too. I don't know them, but they're going somewhere in a hurry. And I looked at my watch, and I thought, I'm not going to make it. So I picked up the pace and started to jog. They're jogging too, and then all of a sudden, I see them blocking the road. Why? Why? The Chabad mitzvah tank is blocking all of Lower Manhattan. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'll just go around the Chabad mitzvah tank. I said, no, you're a Jewish leader, don't do that. Keep going. So as the 3 of us are moving closer, the Chabad rabbi looks at the 3 of us, and he picks me out. And he says, excuse me, are you Jewish? And I said, yes. Are you? I'm telling you, this man, he started to do a Marcel Marceau, kind of like he couldn't talk. He just kept pointed at his black fedora, at his long beard, at his tzitzit, his long coat. He just kept pointing. He couldn't say anything. And I said, well, you know, appearances are not always reality. And I kept walking. Can I tell you something? I know he's still standing in that very spot. He has not moved. Now, why do I tell you that story? I don't tell you that story because I have anything less than love for Chabad Judaism. Rabbi David Eliezer, who's here in Orange County, his beloved friend. Rabbi Yehuda Krinsky, who's the head of Chabad, also I count as a friend and a teacher. I tell you that story because for too many of us, Rav Huna from the Seder is not the way we do our Judaism. How did that rabbi and so many others in Jewish life know that of the 3 of us, I would be the one Jewish person? In today's world, friends, I could have easily been the one non-Jew. Nobody looks Jewish. Nobody has an automatically Jewish-sounding last name. Judaism is a commitment that we make. It's not the accident of our birth. It's not our ethnicity. And if we can rethink who we are, we actually not only have our 1.5 million, according to polls, but according to the 2013 Pew study, almost 2 million Jews in North America identify as Reformed Jews. And if we reimagined who is part of our circle, that number could grow even larger. Think about interfaith families. Think about the LGBTQ. Think about Jews of color. Do you know that between 10 and 20% of Jews are Jews of color? That's an unbelievable gift. In fact, the San Francisco Jewish Federation study that was just held and just circulated in February found that 1 out of every 4 Jews in San Francisco lives with a Jew of color. That means a quarter of our Jewish community. So again, if we reimagine, think of people with disabilities, think of all those who once were connected, no longer are. If we can actually reimagine our Jewish community and say, halach ma'anya, let all who are hungry for the Judaism we live come, we could be even stronger, even more numerically great than we are at this moment. Have you ever, don't admit this publicly, just listen to my question. Have you ever worried about the next generation? Are they gonna care about being Jewish? Are they gonna know enough? Are they gonna be committed to carry the Jewish people and the Jewish tradition forward? Have you ever wondered? My guess is we all have. In fact, as a Jewish community, we're spending a lot of time, arguably way too much time, worrying about the next generation. Tomorrow is gonna prove, I think, not only is the next generation gonna be okay, they're already leading, and frankly, they are inspirational. You know what happened in Parkland, Florida. The 17 that were murdered, 3 of them were ours. They were from our Reformed Jewish community. And friends, it would be just a horrific tragedy in and of itself, but our young people said, you know what? Out of this anger, out of this loss, out of this grief, we are going to stand up and be counted, and we're going to change the way the United States of America thinks about gun violence. Now, they're on a tear here, friends, and it's not just about tomorrow. I hope you all find a way to get to one of the local marches. I'll be in Los Angeles. We'll have over 800 gatherings in the U.S., and at about 25 of them, we're going to have full Shabbat morning experiences so that we can put the spirit into this day of protest. But I can tell you that our young people have the courage not just to stand up tomorrow, but on Monday and next Tuesday. So Zoe Turner, who is the incoming vice president of NIFTY for Social Action, she, 3 days after the shooting in Parkland, got on a bus with a group of her teens, went to Tallahassee, Florida. And they met with a group of all the state legislators, and they were meeting with one state legislator. He said, you know, this is really lovely what you're doing, kids, but you're not going to change anything, because if people want to get assault weapons, they will. So really, let's not even bother to make these modest changes in our laws. And Zoe Turner said to this state legislator, she said, excuse me, we have a tradition. It says in Pirkei Avot, in chapter 2, Mishnah 1, it says, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. It says, you are not obligated to finish the task, but you are not free to desist from working hard to shape a better and more just world. We're going back to Parkland, she said, but you will remain here. Do not forget us. We will be standing and holding you and all of our elected officials accountable. Friends, this is a moment when our young people aren't just showing up to kind of say a few words at our board meetings. They are carrying us on their shoulders. And we are going to be the Jewish community that we must be. And we're going to support and we're going to be inspired by them. Do you know that actually engaging the next generation has been a part of Jewish life all the way back to, well, antiquity, but especially think of Seder. What's the first memory most of us have at Seder? What's the first thing we ever led ritually before the Kiddush on Friday night, before our bar bat mitzvah? What's something we did at Seder? The first thing we did. What was it? The 4 kashas. Man ishtana laila, right? So you have that. What's the power of that teaching? It's not to embarrass our children. It's to teach them that the first thing we want them to actually learn to do is to question. The questioning is not forbidden in our Jewish tradition. It's required. And they're not just to question ritual. There's to question all the big questions about life. The 4 children Who is the most problematic in our Jewish tradition? She'eno yodea lish'ol, the one who cannot ask a question. Our young people are calling the question. And they're saying, how could you give us a world where there is such rampant gun violence in our country? We are going to question, and then we're going to change and make it better. Now, we can actually bring our young people into Jewish life through the amazing education in our synagogues, through NIFTY, our social action, basically our youth movement throughout North America. We take them to Washington, D.C., as Rabbi did to the Letaken seminars, to bring them to learn the tools of social change. And we also send them to camp. And we're thinking that here in Southern California, sometimes you don't want to schlep your kids up to Northern California. We got that. So as of this summer, we will have 2 camps in Los Angeles from our Reform movement, 17 overall. We already have a 6 Points sports camp in Los Angeles. So if you're an athlete, you don't have to choose to be an athlete or be Jewish. Do them both. We're opening this summer a 6 Points sci-tech. So if you're a techie and you love science and all the imaginative things, you don't have to choose that or being Jewish. You can do that and make that into who you are. And we have that camp in Northern California, Camp Newman. Anybody send their young people to Camp Newman? It is an amazing place. Like Beth Sholom, Endure to Fire. We're going to be open. We have over 150 kids already signed up. We're going to be at Maritime by the Bay, right on the San Francisco Bay. Camp changes the way we think, the way we act as Jews. Between NIFTY and camp, you know what the study we just did? 4 out of 5 young people who participated in NIFTY went to one of our summer camps. 4 out of 5 choose when they're adults to be part of synagogues, chavurot. They choose to be a part of Jewish life and to lead. So when you have a question of where is the next generation going to come from, they're going to come from right here, and they're going to find their way not just to be peripherally involved, they're going to take the ownership of the Jewish tradition. Now, in the center of our Haggadah is the Magid. We tell a story. We tell a story about the Jewish people. We're always ready to change and adapt. Can you imagine in ancient times we didn't have women who were our rabbis and leaders? Rabbi Heidi, can you imagine? I can't imagine what our Jewish community would be today without the wisdom, without the commitment, without the backbone of Jewish women serving as our rabbis and leaders. Adapting and changing, that's what the story of the Jewish people is. From the ancient times before we had a temple to when we did, to when we didn't have one any longer, we kept reinventing, as we are doing every day, the very same holy work. Now, when I was bar mitzvah, the temple was going through a renovation, so the wonderful leadership said, don't take pictures with all the scaffolding up during my bar mitzvah. They said, why don't you wait a couple of weeks when it's looking beautiful, and then you'll come back and take the pictures. It was a great idea. We actually never came back and took the pictures, but I have a vivid image, but by the high holidays, the place looked fabulous. And we came into services, and we were sitting where we always like to sit, and there was a longtime member standing right in the front looking at the newly renovated bima, and she was just shaking her head with this look of not very happy. My mom went up to her and said, Ella, you don't seem to really like the new sanctuary at Beth Sholom. She says, well, actually, I hate it. My mom said, but Ella, you didn't like the old sanctuary. And she said, yes, you're right, but I was getting used to it. That's who we are. We kind of become familiar, and what needs to be is not exactly as it was. The music has changed, Cantor. You showed us beautifully. The liturgy has changed, but so have the ways we define membership, the way we learn, the way we do social justice. These are all examples of how we can take and reshape and adapt and make alive and vibrant this ancient tradition. So as Rabbi said, let's not ever reform it for good. Let's keep it as an active process. That's what you're doing. That's what 75 years of synagogue life here at Temple Beth Sholom is. It's not by freezing it, by holding it, but by letting it grow and watering it and testing and experimenting and then finding the beauty and the vitality in what we do. Last couple of reflections. What's the last thing we say at Seder? What's the last? It's a 3-word phrase. L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem. Now, we've been saying that for millennia. It doesn't mean just next year we're going to go on a temple trip, although that is a wonderful thing to do. Next year in Jerusalem means that we as a people are always trying to make the world the way it ought to be God's partners in shaping a more just and compassionate world. That's what L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim is. So let me just reflect. I just came back from, I can't even think of how many times this year alone I've been to Israel as part of our movement's work. I just came back, and frankly, it's extraordinary. Not only the moment we are in, the challenges we face, but the incredible impact we, the largest movement in Jewish life, are having, not just on North American Jewish life, but on the very face of the modern state of Israel. So I want to just share, it was a little while back that Prime Minister Netanyahu invited a small group of us who've been working together on creating an egalitarian pluralistic prayer space at the Western Wall. He invited us to come back so we could finish everything a couple years back, right before Rosh Hashanah. And I walked into his office, and Prime Minister looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And because my mom taught my sister and I how to respond when someone says thank you, I said, what? You're welcome. And as I said it, I realized I had no idea why the Prime Minister of Israel was thanking me. So I said, "Mr. Prime Minister, may I ask you, why are you thanking me?" He says, "I'll tell you why I'm thanking you. I'll tell you because Natan Sharansky told me that the recent war in Gaza, that the Reform movement didn't call any trip back early, didn't keep any trip from going, and had more young people in Israel than any other movement in Jewish life. Thank you for the Reform movement's deep commitment to the state of Israel." So your welcome is on behalf of all of us. He's thanking you. It's thanking all of us for the way we bring our love of Israel and our commitment to make Israel the place it's always meant to be, which is a home for all of us, not for some of us. So I was with a delegation from the Conference of Presidents, and we were having key meetings with government leaders. And we're meeting with the Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel, a certain Tzipi Chotoveli. If you follow her, she has used every occasion in traveling to the United States to disparage the Reform movement. She said, "We are hopeless. We are assimilating. We are absolutely ignorant and not even worthy of partnership." So as we're walking into the meeting, there are 100 of us, leaders of the different organizations in Jewish life. The head of the Conference of Presidents says, "Rick, why don't you introduce Deputy Foreign Minister Chotoveli?" I said, "Malcolm, do you have a wicked sense of humor? You are aware of how she has viewed the Reform movement." He said, "Yes, I'm well aware. See if you can maybe make it better." So I said to first of all, Deputy Minister Chotoveli, I said, "What you have to know, Deputy Foreign Minister, is that we're the largest movement in Jewish life, and we love the state of Israel. And we stand up for the state of Israel on the college campus, in our communities, and we also are deeply committed to make Israel a place where all of us, not just the very traditional, but all of us, conservative, reform, secular, Yiddishists, all of us are welcome." And I said, "When you come to the States, I'd love to show you the strength of our movement." And she got smaller and smaller in her chair before she came up to share with us, but I wanted her to know who we are. Now, we're in a moment now where we're doing something called reverse birthright. We're bringing Israeli leaders here to show them the vitality of North American Jewish life. We're not disappearing. We're not dead. We are very much alive. So we brought the coalition whip of the current government, and we're meeting with him on Friday afternoon in New York, and he's so waiting for this meeting to be done. And I shared that at the end of the meeting, we're going to walk 5 blocks to Central Synagogue, where we're going to go to Shabbat services. This man has his arms folded so tightly, I thought he was going to choke himself. He said, "I'm not going. I don't go to synagogue." I said, "With all due respect, you are going to come, and I think you're actually going to enjoy it." He said, "I will not enjoy it." So we get to the synagogue. It's filled to overflowing. Rabbi Angela Warnick-Buchdahl, the inspired rabbi of Central Synagogue, gets to the microphone. She starts doing what Cantor's doing. And this guy, who is a secular Jew, part of the government, he just starts to look and he says to me, where did you pay these people to come tonight? All these 1,000 people at services? No, they're here because it's Friday night. They come because they're getting nourished spiritually. And then the service unfolds and he just is taking this in going, this is pretty nice. He's going to go back. I'm telling you, he's not joining the Reform movement yet. But this man will not open his mouth and speak harsh words about us. And we're going to reshape the modern state of Israel. Last story from Israel. I met a wonderful new synagogue, one of those 100 Reform rabbis that we just celebrated the ordination of our 100th Israeli Reform rabbi. Do you know what that means? It means our movement is growing. We've doubled in the last 7 years. And Rabbi Rinat Sefania was one of those 100. And she has a congregation in Sholom, which is outside of Tel Aviv. And it's alive. And I was there on the Friday night, and a synagogue from New York brought them their own Torah scroll, gave the gift. And the rabbi of that synagogue is a wonderful colleague, Rabbi Randy Scheinberg. And I said to Rabbi Rinat Sefania, who's this spectacular woman, Rabbi Randy, and then all of the other, I told the story of when I was a pulpit rabbi in Brooklyn Heights, we had this amazing woman cantor. And there was one day when a little boy came up to me sobbing his eyes out. I said, what's the matter? He said, I really want to be a cantor, but I guess boys can't be cantors. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you boys can't be cantors, points to our cantor. I said, the young people are going to grow up in Rinat Sefania's congregation in Shoham are going to ask, can boys become rabbis too? They are going to change the face of Israel to be a Judaism that's like ours, passionate, evolving, creative, serious, smart, and filled with joy. And when that Judaism is not just our possession here, but the way we live Jewishly all over the world, we're going to see something remarkable in the state of Israel. And it's going to be that place where we will finally have not only a place at the Western Wall, but we'll have our place throughout the society. That's a commitment that we bring. And as we conclude this sermon, I know some of you thinking, well, probably Rabbi Jacobs, he's been away for all these years. He's got so much he wants to say. My last and my final point is, you know why we asked the youngest member of our families to open the door for Elijah and Miriam? The reason we asked the youngest one is because I'm afraid if I asked anyone my age or even a little bit younger, we don't actually open the door thinking that Elijah or Miriam is going to be there. But young people, they actually have that much hope, that much conviction that the world actually could change. So let's open ourselves to that kind of transformational hope, that kind of openness, that kind of, I would say, deep conviction that we, each of us, can in concrete ways make that difference. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. It's not up to each and every one of us to change everything, but we can, each of us, change something. And together, led by our youth, particularly on this Shabbat Hagadol, this great Shabbat, we can have an impact that will be truly lasting. So 75, you're looking pretty good for 75, Beth Sholom, I want to tell you that. And oh my goodness, these have been years filled with commitment, learning, discovery, and ever evolving Judaism. We should celebrate these 75 years, all of the goodness, all the things that have been accomplished. But I want to say without any doubt, my friends, that the best is yet to come. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Just stay here. Stay here 1 second. So, Rabbi Jacobs, I want to invite forward our president of our congregation, Jack Holmes, and also a member of our board of directors who is in charge of our social action and social justice, Gary Holloway, to come forward, because we want to share something with you that our board just went ahead and passed this past Wednesday evening at the board meeting. So Jack Holmes, Gary Holloway, there we go. We are very, very proud and excited to say that our board of directors went ahead and passed to be a part of the Brit Olam. So we are hopefully congregation number 159. So of congregations who have committed to signing this Brit Olam, saying that for a world of compassion, justice, and wholeness, we are calling this a Brit Olam, a covenant with our world, because we seek the world we want, not the world as it is. And that together across North America and around the world, vulnerable populations face profound challenges. As the Reformed Jewish movement, we are committed to meeting the urgency of now with moral leadership through congregational and community-based action. Our congregation has been blessed to be a part of the community of practice of bringing our congregation together, having conversations within homes, and we're continuing to have those conversations, to listening to each other's stories, because we are committed toward tikkun olam, to repairing our world. And so it was tonight that we wanted to be able to share this signed document on behalf of our board of directors, and Jack and Gary and all of us, that we are proud to be a part of this Brit Olam with you. So. Thank you. So tonight we celebrate this 75th anniversary, this 75th birthday. I would like to ask if you have been a member here of Temple Beth Sholom for 50 years or more. Anybody 50 years or more by chance? Please rise if you are able. So just keep your hands up. There you are. Perfect. Mazel tov. Stay standing if you can, if you're able to remain standing. If you have been a member of our congregation for over 40 years, please rise. Rabbi Jacobs, this is the reverse roll call that we do at CCAR, right? If you have been a member of our congregation for 30 years or more, please rise. I'm excited to join with all of us who have been members of this congregation for 20 years or more. Please rise. If you have been a member of this congregation for 10 years or more, please rise. There we go, we got the sharpers. Woo-hoo. How about 5 years? Between 5 and 10 years. There we go. Excellent. If you have been a member for 4 years, 3. There we go. 2 years. Our newest members over this past year, if you are a new member of our congregation over this past year, please rise. And if you are a friend of Temple Beth Sholom, you are here tonight, you are in this wonderful space, family, friends, guests, you are all a part of Temple Beth Sholom. I invite you, please rise. Ivdu et Adonai b'simcha. Worship God with gladness, come into God's presence with singing is what we do. Our God and God of our ancestors, in celebration, we come together this evening to offer praises to you, our rock and our redeemer. Your steadfast love supports all generations. You give us strength and endow us with a willingness and determination to continue the work which we began 75 years before. With your guidance, our founding leadership placed their faith in you, laboring to make your name sacred, that we might come together at this time, our congregation's 75th anniversary. Those founders' efforts were not in vain. Through their prayers and their example, we have been brought near to you, Adonai, to seek you with our total being. May the recollections of the past 75 years of those who have led before us stir us to meet our duties with renewed vigor, confirm us in our hope, and strengthen the devotion of those whose passion may have faded. As a united people, may we preserve our heritage so that it may bring us joy and strengthen future generations. We ask your blessing, Adonai, for this congregation. May it continue to grow and flourish, that through it, reverence for you will be implanted in the hearts of all. May we learn to share our work and prayers with those of other communities. And may our sharing with others strengthen our own vision. Through our word, as much as through our action, may we serve you and sanctify your holy name, and let us say, Amen. So we join together singing Shehechianu, giving thanks to God for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this wonderful moment together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Standing, Barry Robbins, will you please come join me in opening our ark doors as we turn now to Aleinu L'Shabeach in our prayer books, page 282. I also invite you as we recite Aleinu L'Shabeach that we will be chanting from the from the top paragraph, as you will see there, so that we can include all people of all nations and all of our world. So we're going to do the top paragraph. We'll go slow with the change of the Hebrew there. Barry, if you'll join us. Thank you.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latei gedula liyotzeh bereshit, shehu noteh shamayim veyosed haaretz, umoshav yikaro bashamayim mima'al, ushchinatu zo begovhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, va'anachnu koreim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 287.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. U'shemo echad.
As we remain standing and our thoughts will turn to those who are no longer with us, we turn to our final reading in our Daf Tefillah, reading number 11. It is my honor to call for this reading Andrea Wasserman.
It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lifted me. Your word was a gift to me.
To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched.
There are many in our congregation who are no longer with us. In over 75 years, there have been so many who have blessed us to be able to reach this sacred moment. And for all of their memories, our rabbis, our teachers, each of them, we hold them deep within our hearts. We remember also those whose yahrzeits we recall on this Shabbat and during this coming week and beyond: Carolyn Anderson, Reva Block, Hal Carter, Ray Cates, Audrey Cross, Melba Dickey, Bernhardt Dorman, Patricia Arend Dravagon Aaron, Jeanette Ellison, Elliot Fuhr, Saul Freed, Marilyn Friedman, Sue Webb Friedman, Frida Hanfling, Dora Cavanaugh, David Klein, Dora Klein, Reuben E. Kleiner, Francis Michael, Betty Moulton, Michael Negrin, Elliot Newman, Herbert Omens, Hyman Pleva, Samuel Prosky, Molly Rappaport, Rebecca Rice, Joe Ann Ross, Ethel Schechter, Jeanette Sherman, Aaron Smith, Jenny Tucker, Ruth Weiner, Muriel Rachel Waxman Weisberg, Amy Eugenie Whitcomb, Robert Roland Whitcomb, Florence Markle Sobin Zakin, and Sarah Silver Zektzer. If there is anyone here who's in the period of mourning of Shiva, Shloshim, or Shana, or is observing a yahrzeit of a loved one whose name I have not called, I invite you as I face in your direction, please share their names with us. For all of those and for all those who have given their lives al Kiddush Hashem, for the sanctification of God's holy name, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we join together as one sacred congregation. Page 294, Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, b'yalma divrach irtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mevorach le'elam u'lomei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say together, amen. All right, Jake. One last blessing tonight before so many amazing blessings for tomorrow. We join together with Motzi. Grab a hold. There you go. You ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. So Stan, you want to put down that prayer book real quick? There you go. Because see, our blessings come not only from our hands, but also from God on high. There you go. So it is my honor to also invite forward, at this time, Mark Thompson, who served as our cantorial soloist for many years. We sang so many incredible songs together, and even Rabbi Jacobs, you'd be proud, we'd even do some different tunes to some, kind of like what we did last week as well, Jack, you know, with Ve'ahavta to Hotel California. Oh. Who put the tablet on the front? Yeah, okay, we'll work on that one. Okay. So it is so wonderful to have you join with us tonight, and we invite you to put your arms around somebody next to you, make a new friend, or embrace a wonderful friend who has been there for many years. as we join together with Mark, with Cantor Reinwald together, Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Baruchim atem b'volechem, baruchim atem b'tzeitachem me'etav yad olam. Blessed were you in coming into this place of worship, and blessed may we be as we go forward to Shabbat of health and happiness and of peace and of oneg. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.